In today's video, we'll customize an IKEA Kallax shelving unit and bling it up a bit. It'll get some extreme brass treatment and will be kitted out with some in-shelf LED lights as well as a touch-sensitive LED light bulb. If this sounds interesting, please continue watching. And while we are here, it would be great if you could subscribe to my channel as well. Okay, so in my previous video, I modified and renovated my study room. I built the sit-stand desk, but while testing it out with a monitor, I noticed an issue. Did you notice the problem? While going above 1 meter or so, the top of the monitor touches the existing double Kallax unit. Luckily, my sit-stand desk has got an auto-retract function, so that if it feels an obstruction, it goes back in the opposite way. Anyway, this means that this central piece has to go. A quick trip to everyone's favorite Swedish store and I was back with a much smaller, slimmer unit. So step 1 is to drill some 12mm holes on the sides. This is to pass in the LED wires to go through the shelving unit. To make my job easier, I use my drill press for this. I also drilled out 4 holes on a black PVC pipe. 2 of them will be used to pass the LED wiring harness through it, and the other 2 would be used as an access hole to screw the pipe onto the unit. And now it's time to finally assemble the carcass. I just followed the assembly instructions as mentioned on the leaflet. So I know you couldn't see much of the action, so here's a quick explanation of where we are as of now. I fixed the door hinges on the side, which was just screwing it into a pre-drilled set of holes. I then screwed in the LED brackets. Each side gets a pair. Here you can see the wiring access holes drilled earlier. And that's one side done. And I did the same thing on the right hand side cubby as well. These are the LED battens that I'm using. They are actually pretty good, but unfortunately IKEA doesn't sell them anymore. And as you can see, it just clips on to the bracket. Here I fished all the wires through the PVC tube that we drilled earlier and screwed it onto the shelf. To recap, these 4 cables runs up through this black PVC conduit in the center, which then branches out to the 4 LED battens, 2 on either side. These 4 cables then goes back to a junction box, and then further on to a switch, and then on to the mains power. Now to hide the switch side of the cabling, I'm going to hide it inside this adjacent cabinet. and then I wired it all up. So just to recap, the switch is held on by a 3M double-sided sticky tape. The wiring runs through a channel on the inside of the adjacent cabinet, as you see over here. The power cable then exits through the back panel and loops back into the shelving unit that I just assembled. The main power is inside at the back of this. Next, I fitted another set of LED light bar which works at around 5000 Kelvin. Just like the earlier one, the installation is pretty easy. It just clips onto a bracket and all you have to do is connect the power cable. One notable feature on this is that it's got a touch sensitive light switch. So if you hold your finger against the blue switch, the light dims and it works the opposite way as well. So now you got a perfect setting when you're working underneath it. Regarding the wiring, this also runs through a hole drilled onto the shelving unit and it runs to the power behind the unit. Now some of you may have noticed some bling on the unit by now, so the next section will cover that. First addition are these tiny brass bells. For that I pre-drilled some 1.5mm holes and finger tightened the bells in. Now after fixing the doors, again, I decided it was just too plain. So I got these various brass fittings that I decided to fix it on the unit. Alright, it's now time to fix the door back on again. And here is the reveal. I hope you enjoyed the small Pimp My IKEA shelving unit build. If you have any questions, please leave them below. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and leave a like and a comment below. Thanks for watching and see you all in the next one. Bye.